Time is usually neutral. It doesn't favor anyone. It doesn't help anyone. But when someone deliberately disrupts it, the one who's waiting starts losing strength, without even realizing it. And most people, by the time they understand what's happening to them, it's already too late. Something is wrong. Not with the weather, not with the location, with the silence. One man stands on the shore of a small island. The other is not there. The year is 1612. The place is Ganryu Island, a strip of land between the main islands of Japan. Two swordsmen have agreed to meet. One is Sasaki Kojiro, already famous, known for a technique so fast it's called the swallow's reversal, a strike that seems to move in two directions at once. He carries a nodachi, a long sword, longer than most men use. He is confident. He arrives on time. The other swordsman is Miyamoto Musashi. He is not there. Kojiro waits. At first, it doesn't matter. A few minutes. Maybe the boat was slow. He adjusts his grip, loosens his shoulders. The sun climbs higher. Still, no one arrives. Time behaves strangely when you're waiting for something that matters. It doesn't pass evenly. At first it moves quickly, then it slows, then it almost stops. Kojiro scans the water. Nothing. He checks his sword again. It's fine. It was fine before. The blade is perfect. But he checks it anyway. An hour passes. Then two. Some accounts suggest Kojiro begins to pace. Others say he remains still. Either way, something is shifting. Not in the world. In him. Waiting does something to certainty. When you arrive prepared, focused, sharp, you exist in a specific mental state. That state has momentum, but momentum requires movement. And waiting is stillness. Kojiro's readiness begins to stretch. His focus, which was a blade, starts to become a question. Is he coming? Did something happen? Is this a trick? The sun is now directly overhead. Musashi is 3 hours late. Kojiro is still waiting. By now, his certainty has worn thin. Doubt doesn't announce itself. It seeps. A swordsman's greatest weapon is not his blade. It's his mind. And Kojiro's mind has been sitting in stillness for 3 hours. Then, a boat appears. Musashi is standing in it. He has carved a wooden sword from an oar. He steps onto the shore. Calm, unrushed. He does not apologize. He does not explain. He simply arrives. Kojiro draws his sword. Musashi notices something. Kojiro throws the scabbard into the water. Some say Musashi smiles. Some say he remarks that a man who throws away his scabbard does not expect to survive. Others say nothing was spoken. What is certain is that the duel begins. It is brief. Musashi's wooden sword strikes first. Kojiro falls. The fight, some accounts say, lasts only seconds. Musashi leaves the island immediately. He doesn't wait. He doesn't linger. He controlled time before the duel. He controls time after. Kojiro, who arrived on time, who prepared perfectly, who carried the superior blade, waited, and waiting is not neutral. There is something in this moment that reaches far beyond swordsmanship. Musashi understood something most people spend their lives ignoring. Time is not a neutral container. It is pressure. And whoever controls the timing controls the pressure. Think about how most people move through their day. They wait for the right moment, for permission, for conditions to improve, for someone else to go first. They arrive on time, prepared, ready, and then they wait. Others do not wait. They don't ask if the moment is ready. They don't arrive early. They move when they choose to move, not out of disrespect, not out of arrogance, but because they understand this. The one who waits is already responding to someone else's rhythm. Kojiro was technically superior. His sword was longer, his technique was proven. But by the time the duel began, he had already been fighting for 3 hours. Not with a blade, with himself. Musashi arrived and simply executed. This is not about being late. It is not about disrespecting time. It is about understanding that readiness is a state, and states decay. The person who waits spends energy staying ready. The person who controls the pace spends none. They simply appear when the moment is theirs. You see this in how people text. One person sends a message, then waits, checks their phone, waits more, rehearses responses in their head. By the time the reply comes, they've already had 12 conversations that never happened. Another person sends a message and forgets about it. They respond when they see it. Not because they're playing games, but because they're not sitting in the waiting room of someone else's attention. Same conversation, different state. You see it in negotiations. One side responds immediately, the other takes their time. The one who waits for the response is already playing defense. You see it in relationships. One person is always available, always ready, always waiting to hear back. The other responds when it feels right, not out of cruelty, but because they've learned that constant availability is constant waiting, and waiting is erosion. Musashi didn't arrive late to disrespect Kojiro. He arrived late because he understood the duel had already begun, not when the swords met, but when one man started waiting and the other did not. There is no lesson here, no instruction, just a contrast between the one who waits for the moment to be right and the one who makes the moment theirs, between readiness that decays and presence that simply arrives. Kojiro stood on that island for 3 hours. Musashi stood nowhere, and when he finally appeared, the fight was already over.